CII has been working very closely with the Government of Telangana. Over the last 2 years, they've been instrumental in drafting and getting our policies drafted and giving us a lot of valuable inputs. They've also been instrumental in setting up a lot of business meetings whenever our delegation has traveled across the world, be it the United States or Europe or parts of Asia, whenever our Honorable Chief Minister has traveled or whenever I have traveled. CII has been of great help in setting up the right kind of meetings and right kind of partnerships. So I'd like to acknowledge and appreciate all the inputs that have been given by CII and to the entire team of CII Telangana, more particularly on doing a wonderful job so far. So now coming to the theme of this session, manufacturing. While we do understand that manufacturing is a key component of industry, at this point in time, in fact, I would like to share a couple of statistics with you. The industry's growth rate of Telangana is currently pegged at about 28.7% of the state's GDP actually comes from the industries sector. It is the second highest in the country, only after our own Prime Minister's home state of Gujarat, where it is at 35.5%. And incidentally, it's possibly a coincidence, it's possibly not, but the only two revenue surplus states in the country also are Telangana and Gujarat. So I'm sure there is a direct correlation to the rapid industrialization that's happening in Telangana and also in Gujarat. And I'm sure there is also a lot of logic linked to the revenue surplus situation also. We do believe, in fact, our Honorable Chief Minister never fails to remind us. Whenever I talk about information technology, the knowledge economy, etc., our Chief Minister never ever, not even once when we talk about industrialization, never fails to remind me that manufacturing is where there is a large scale potential for creation of blue collar and white collar jobs at the same time. So in fact, he has been focused, he's been very, very committed to rapid industrialization and also more so with respect to manufacturing in the state of Telangana. The four essential pillars for manufacturing sector, in a matter of 8 months, our Honorable Chief Minister, with his commitment, with his resoluteness, has been able to effect this change. The second thing I believe is extremely important for manufacturing, ensuring that you have a land parcel which is free from any encumbrance. In fact, today Telangana is possibly the state with the largest land bank for a government corporation. The Telangana State Industrial Infrastructure Corporation today has nearly 250,000 acres of land at its disposal, readily available for industrial usage. That makes us possibly the largest government entity to hold the largest land bank in the country. The third thing I believe, which is extremely important, is ease of doing business. But I've just mentioned to Ramesh Garu and his entire team, that it's not just about ease of doing business anymore. I think while the world only talks about EODB, Telangana is already thinking ahead. We are talking cost of doing business, especially the hidden costs involved in doing business, and also quality of doing business. Because along with EODB, CODB and QODB, cost and quality of doing business are equally important. It's just not important to have a good entry policy into a state. See, today we have the chief ministers, industries and commerce ministers, information technology ministers trotting the globe, trying to attract new investments. At the same time, business continuity, at the same time ensuring that those investors who have already invested economically and emotionally in the state are also taken care of equally effectively before we go in pursuit of new investors. I think it's extremely important that we also take care of existing investors in the state. The last thing I think which is also extremely important is readily available infrastructure, not just for setting up your factories and manufacturing bases, but also the housing for your workers, also to ensure that roads, power supply, water supply, etc. is also taken care of. As long as we have these four pillars, as I called it, taken care of, I think industrialization and especially rapid growth of manufacturing sector is most definitely possible. And as was mentioned by Mr. Datla, a dispute redressal mechanism is also being currently worked out by the government of Telangana. In fact, we'll possibly be the first state in the country to in fact not only just talk about a good entry policy, but also a good exit policy where dispute redressals can be addressed in a fast-track manner, and which would possibly also include setting up a tribunal at the state level to effectively fast-track any disputes that might emanate out of a business conflict. Now, one of the fundamental things our Chief Minister did when he initially assumed office about 2 years ago, 26 months ago, was he had an extended meeting in the same hall, a 6-hour meeting with various industry groups representing, I think, women entrepreneurs, Dalit entrepreneurs. We had industry bodies such as CII, FICCI, ASSOCHAM, several AmCham, etc., all in the same room with their representatives. Our Chief Minister had a brainstorming session, and eventually we came out with possibly the best industrial policy, not just in the country, but also possibly in the world as well. The reason why I say this with a lot of confidence is because I traveled to the United States twice, once last year, last summer, and also this summer. Last summer, when I was in 2015, when I was in the United States, I met with the chairman of KPMG. And when I was explaining to him our industrial policy, I kind of gave him a gist of what it is. For those of you who are new to Telangana, for those of you who are possibly unaware of the industrial policy called the TS IPAS, I would also like to reel out 3 salient features. One, unlike anywhere in the country today, and possibly in a very few locations in the world also, Telangana allows for self-certification. We believe that when an investor is making a conscious choice of investing in a state, the state is not doing him any favors. In fact, it's the investor. When they have a choice of investing anywhere in India, in fact, they're the ones who are doing us a favor by choosing our state, and therefore, we treat our investors as our precious customers. So therefore, we believe, we've laid implicit faith in our investors, and we say through the self-certification mechanism that you do not have to meet any government official, you do not have to meet any government, any minister in the government. As long as you believe that you will be complying with the law of the land, you can hit the ground running. You can start your enterprise in Telangana on day one in a location of your choice. But obviously, simultaneously for regulatory purposes, we seek that you apply online for compliance measures only. Just so we understand that you are doing business in Telangana, just so we can ensure that you also receive all kinds of support from the state government. So what happens when you apply online? When you apply online, if you're a mega industry, what do I mean by a mega industry? A mega industry has 3 definitions in Telangana. One, a mega industry is any investment which brings in over 200 crores of Indian rupees. Number 2, another criteria for mega industry is any investment that creates more than 1,000 jobs. 3, any investment which can be considered of strategic importance to the state. It could be in one of those thrust areas of the government, which can then possibly qualify also as a mega investment. So what happens if you're a mega investor and you send in an application online? What happens is, in less than 15 days, we promise through a clear single window policy, you don't have to meet anybody, you don't have to even go to any office per se, no lena dena business, no nothing. All that happens is, in 15 days, in less than 15 days, you will receive all approvals. You may say, some of you who are skeptics might say, I've heard this before. Any state I travel to tells me that there is a single window system in place, but there are always multiple windows behind a single window. That's the joke. But Telangana is truly different. If we don't deliver in 15 days, on the 16th day, your application is deemed to have been approved. It's an approval by default. No other state in India or the world will tell you this today, and I'm saying this with a lot of confidence. Secondly, on the 16th day, our officers who are held responsible for the delay are also liable for a penalty of some rupees 1,000 per day. It's not a matter of money. It's a matter of putting them to shame right in front of their peers. Thirdly, as a state also, we are liable for penal action if we don't deliver on the 15-day promise. When I mentioned this to the chairman of KPMG, John Y. Meyer, in 2015 May, and when I told him that this is possibly the best policy in our country and no other state in India offers this, he looked at me he smiled and he said, no other state in the United States also offers this. So we might as well go ahead and say, this is possibly the best policy in the world. So that's the sort of policy and benchmarking the new state of Telangana has been able to effectively bring about in the last 1 year. As I've mentioned, the salient features, in fact, one of the things that you would require is water. And as you all possibly are aware, we're doing a large-scale project called the Telangana Drinking Water Supply Project, as part of which we're laying nearly 150,000 kilometers of additional pipeline. So this drinking water supply project also has a 10% component, 10% of water supply earmarked for industrial usage. So since we're laying pipeline across the state, crisscrossing the state, anywhere in the state, any district also, if you would like to set up a unit, you would have a pipeline running very, very close to you. So therefore, out of the 10% earmarked for industrial usage, you'll not have a problem with water either. So water, power, land, progressive policies, time-bound clearances, these are all the things we promise. What more do we promise? Well, we also promise several other things. In fact, we go a lot of steps forward when it comes to ensuring that our investors are taken care of. One of the primary challenges, in fact, some of you and those of you who are wondering among the audience, this sounds too good to be true. Does it work? Yes, it does. In fact, we launched this policy called the TSI Pass about 12 months ago. And so far, we gave clearances to more than 2,300 units, and out of which, in less than 15 days, I should remind you, out of which more than 50% are already in commercial production stage. So it's a policy which not only looks pretty on a piece of paper, but it's a policy that also functions very, very effectively and has been able to set new standards in this country as well. Now, the other issues with respect to ease of doing business. I think one of the key issues is with respect to inspections. In fact, Telangana possibly is one of those states which has focused on inspections and ensuring. Our Chief Minister keeps telling us all the time, Honorable Shri K. Chandrasekhar Rao Garu keeps reminding us that we are a government that will focus on minimizing inspections and maximizing facilitations. In fact, we've also recently wrote to our labor department. We said, why should your people be called inspectors? It doesn't make any sense. You know, when somebody says inspector in India, the one you immediately think of is a cop, you know, with a lathi and all. So we said, please don't call them inspectors anymore, call them facilitators. Ensure that this nomenclature change also brings about a mindset change, so that people, when they go and verify if everything is in order, should be looked at by the industry as facilitators and should also ensure that they also work and function like a facilitator and not like an inspector in the true sense of the word. So therefore, these are the fundamental things we're working on. In fact, one of the things we are also working on, when I said minimum inspection, maximum facilitation, what do I mean? Under a factory law today, there are 5 labor laws which would ensure today, at this point in time, that you can be inspected about 30 times in a span of 5 years. But now, we've reformed our policy, we've brought about a change which ensures that joint inspections happen. I mean, it's not about one department coming and knocking on your door one day, and then 5 days later or 1 week later, somebody else also comes back and knocks on your door again, which is quite irksome and troublesome, I understand. So now, as part of the self-certification process set out for units, from very, very soon in fact, from the number 30 in a span of 5 years, this will be brought down to just 1 inspection in 5 years. This is again a revolutionary thing that the government of Telangana has come out with. And this again, I am very, very confident that will set a new benchmark for the industry once again. Now, there are a lot of other things like a collaborative effort, joint inspections of labor, boilers, factories, PCB, and also industries department. In fact, like I said, we've issued stern instructions for a joint inspection. We're also talking about increasing the validity of licenses. For example, PCB license is now 5 years. The renewal period is for 5 years. Earlier it was only 1 year. You had to renew it every year. Now Pollution Control Board only seeks a renewal every 5 years. That also again, I believe, will bring down the inherent inefficiency that has crept in through this inspection raj, as we call it. Now, the other incentives and the other policy inputs that most industries would look forward to: power cost reimbursement, VAT reimbursement. These are all aimed at promoting the manufacturing sector. We are very committed to this. In fact, all of these incentives also, effective from April 1st this year, have also been made completely online, so that you don't have to pay any kind of commissions, you don't have to meet anybody, you don't have to really worry about running around offices also. We'll be giving you a clear-cut guideline, a clear-cut paper, which will enlist what is the incentive that you are set to receive, and it will be credited directly to your banks as well. So this process also has been streamlined so as to save you money and time as well. Now, the new initiatives to promote manufacturing in Telangana, we have several. The National Investment Manufacturing Zone, NIMZ, has been set up in Zahirabad in about 12,000 acres with an estimated project outlay cost of 10,835 crores. This project is expected to attract, ultimately, when in its full capacity, more than 100,000 crores of rupees as investment, and is also set to provide employment to more than 500,000 people, that is 5 lakh people, in the next 5 to 7 years. Mahindra & Mahindra is already manufacturing out of this unit. Their suppliers also have come and started setting up shop there. There are several potential investors who are also lining up to set up big units in NIMZ. We also, in fact, are setting up, because manufacturing, we understand, is not just because Honorable Prime Minister says make in India, but he never said make for India. He said make in India also to export. So therefore, we are setting up 2 large dry ports in the state of Telangana. In fact, these 2 dry ports, one of which will be closer to, closely aligned with NIMZ in Zahirabad, and another one close to Hyderabad as well, will facilitate those of you who are either importing or exporting, because the customs clearance and everything also will be all handled out of the dry ports directly. Likewise, this dry port eventually will also be a multi-product SEZ, wherein some of you also can set shop right there and also get your customs clearance right there, and also start either exporting or importing out of these dry ports. Government of India has already accorded NIMZ status to these dry ports also. Now, the Hyderabad Pharma City is another initiative, because pharma, life sciences, biotech, the entire domain of life sciences is quite large in Hyderabad. So we are in the process of setting up, again, a state-of-the-art, world-class, zero liquid discharge Hyderabad Pharma City, wherein we are not just trying to grow our existing ecosystem, we're also trying to bring in a lot more new employment and a lot more new investment also. Once again, we believe that when fully functional, Hyderabad Pharma City will attract investments of over 150,000 crores of Indian rupees and will generate 5 lakh direct jobs and 2.5 lakh indirect jobs when it's fully functional in the matter of next 5 to 7 years also. Phase 1 of Pharma City, we've already acquired nearly 4,000 acres of land, but we are launching Phase 1 possibly end of this year with about 6,000 acres as the initial rollout. Now, 13 new transit-oriented growth corridors are also being planned along the outer ring road, the 158 kilometers expressway, which is something that Hyderabad can definitely look forward to, because that will ease out the city of that will decongest the city of Hyderabad also. As part of these counter magnets or satellite townships, we'll also be focusing on certain industry verticals to ensure that the live, work, learn, play concept is also propagated in these satellite townships. We're also, as I've mentioned several times in the past, promoting textiles is a big manufacturing initiative. A large textile park is being set up in Warangal in about 2,000 acres of land. We're also setting up several other parks, focused sectoral industry verticals. We are going to be setting up a medical devices park focused on manufacturing medical devices that are going to be used in India. For those of you who are interested, you can reach our Industries and Commerce department, because we already are receiving great deal of interest on this medical devices park. It is going to be set up abutting Outer Ring Road. The Phase 1 will be set up near Sultanpur, near very close to Patancheru, and we already have more than 10 investors, prospective investors who have evinced interest. We'll be launching it very soon also. Recently, I was at I was in Bombay addressing the petrochemical manufacturers and the PET guys, their national convention, and we've announced a plastic city also, very close to Hyderabad again. Plastics, again, I believe, is a sector that's growing in double digits, and we believe that will also propel and create large-scale employment. And those of you who are interested in this line of activity also should reach out to us. We're in the process of setting up 2 electronic manufacturing clusters to promote electronics manufacturing in the state. The electronic manufacturing clusters are situated very close to the airport, one of which is right adjacent in Ravi Real, Maheshwaram, another one very close to Maheshwaram town also. We're also setting up a large-scale food processing park, one in Tupran and a mega food park also in Khammam. These are also the 2 other initiatives that I would like you to be aware of. We're in the process also, as I have mentioned, of setting up a textile park in Warangal. We're also in the process of setting up aerospace parks, because Hyderabad, as many of you know, the small and medium entrepreneurs, medium enterprises in the aerospace and defense sector have really made us proud. In fact, when India sent MOM, the Mars Orbiter mission recently, more than 30% of the components in MOM were manufactured by the SME sector in Hyderabad. So we have a strong, robust aerospace and defense ecosystem also. We're focused on that as well. Now, a couple of other initiatives that I also thought will bring to your notice. We want to make Hyderabad a city sans industrial pollution, a city with zero industrial pollution. So as part of this effort, we are trying to relocate the red and orange industries from within outer ring road to outside of the city. There are chemical units, there are ferroalloys, there are electroplating units, there are also bulk drugs. Those who are already in compliance, those who are already zero liquid discharge certified will obviously be considered, but those who are not will definitely request them to relocate to different clusters identified outside of the outer ring road in a time bound, in a phased manner. Obviously, we'll be setting up, it's not about shifting the problem. It's not shifting the pollution problem from Hyderabad to another adjacent area. When we shift these industries, these new clusters, they have to be 100% pollution free for the new habitation wherever they're going to be situated in. So therefore, we also have planned in a time-bound manner, along with the Telangana State Industrial Infrastructure Corporation, to create common effluent treatment plants in each of these clusters, even before the industry is moved out, so that there is no pollution problem in the new location either. That's the one thing we're doing. The second thing we're proud of, in fact, as part of this relocation of industries, we also have decided to give a separate incentive policy for those industries that obviously will move out. And we also need to incentivize them, because it definitely disrupts the way they work, the way they do business. But we'll also ensure that they are rewarded, they are incentivized for taking this decision. Now, the other thing we are very keen on doing, and we are already at an advanced stage of discussion with Reserve Bank of India and also Government of India, is revival of our SIC units, especially the micro and small and medium enterprises. We are setting up what is called the Industrial Health Clinic. This will be most possibly launched later this year, possibly in November. And we are already, like I've mentioned, at an advanced stage of discussion with banks and also Government of India. We'll be the first state in the country to be launching this initiative, focused purely, because as I've mentioned, we may be running after, we may be hankering for new investments, but it's very important that we also take care of our existing investors. So therefore, those companies, those enterprises which are in an incipient NPA stage, incipient 6 stage, have to be helped by the government. Techno-economic viability studies that have to be done by banks are not being done. Unfortunately, banks are resorting to invoking the SARFAESI Act with much haste, without really following the RBI guidelines to a large extent. So therefore, in fact, we will call for SLBC also. We'll also sensitize them on the need to support the incipient SIC companies and also those companies that have become SIC over the last some time. And we'll also try to rehabilitate. In fact, recently I met the RBI governor. I have told him that this is not a problem that is confined to Telangana. What Telangana is trying to do today could be a shining example for the rest of the country and for the rest of MSME sector across the country also. What we've asked RBI to do essentially is to ensure that when we start setting up a fund to rehabilitate and to revive SIC units, that this be considered as part of their priority lending from all the banks. I think that would help in ensuring that sick units are also taken care of. We are also, as I've mentioned, working on several initiatives, but end of the day, I would only say one thing. The kind of progressive Chief Minister we have, the kind of policy making that we've done today, in spite of being the youngest and the newest state in India today, goes to show you that if all states compete on a healthy note with respect to promoting industrialization, with respect to creation of employment, with respect to making transparent policies, with respect to bringing down corruption levels, I think our country today is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. But our true potential has not been realized yet. If we really have to break out into the big league, if we really have to be known as a emerged, developed nation, I think we all have to work together, as our Honorable Prime Minister keeps saying, as Team India, which is where Telangana also strongly believes that stronger states, progressive policies, progressive ideas, rapid industrialization, creation of employment will truly and fully enable the Make in India, Make in Telangana initiative to be a true success. So thank you very much for this opportunity and look forward to continued collaboration.